day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by, and welcome to the Xinyuan Real Estate Company Limited fourth quarter 2019 earnings conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question and answer session, and instructions will follow at that time. As a reminder, we are recording today's call. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. Now I'll turn the call over to Julia Zhang, Managing Director of the Blue Shirt Group Asia. Ms. Zhang, please proceed.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us on today's conference call to discuss Xinyuan Real Estate Company's financial results for the fourth quarter and the full year of 2019. We released the result early today. The press release is available on the company's website as well as from Newswire services. Before we continue, please note that today's discussion will contain forward-looking statements made on the safe harbor provision of the U.S. Private Securities Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statement involves inherent risks and uncertainties. As such, the company's actual result may be materially different from the expectation expressed today. Further information regarding these and other risks and uncertainties is included in the company's public filing with the SEC. The company does not assume any obligation to update any forward-looking statement except as required under applicable law. On the call with me are Mr. Zhang Yong, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Li Shanglong, President, Mr. Zhang Hongwu, Vice President, and Mr. Brian Chen, Chief Financial Officer. Mr. Zhang will make comments on business results and strategies. Brian Chen will provide additional detail on the company's financial results and the outlook. Mr. Zhang, please go ahead.
Thank you, Julia, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our fourth quarter and full year 2019 earnings conference call. In 2019, China's housing market stabilized in both of value of sale and sale prices. This was due to consistent regulatory efforts by the central authorities and the local government to curb property speculation. We view this as healthy development and support the government's efforts. We believe both customers and developers like us are better off to have both prices and new construction reflect real underlying demand. In that regard, we are still bullish on the long-term growth prospects in China. We believe the economy will continue to grow robustly, moving more and more families into the middle class. Similarly, we see the best economic opportunities for people in the large cities. So, urbanization should continue. Despite the massive migration to cities of the past decade, less than 60% of the population lives in the city. We expect that proportion grew up to 70% in the next 5 to 10 years. The max cities, the like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen are already extremely expensive. So we think urban migration will shift to other large but less expensive cities. We are positioned to capitalize on this trend. With our focus on high-quality homes in Tier 1, and Tier 2 cities. Our results in 2019 reflect environment of a good underlying trend, tempered by the effort to reduce speculative expenses. Our 2004 revenue reached to 2.5 billion, up to 11.9% year-over-year. This was driven by higher GFA sales, which increased 7.1% to 1.14 million square meters from 1.07 million square meters in 2018. In 2018, we also strengthened our capital structure. In October, we listed our property management business on Hong Kong Exchange. In addition to monetizing that business and giving us additional capital to invest, it gives investors to reference for valuations. Our confidence in our long-term outlook is reflected in our dividend. We again declared a dividend in the fourth quarter of 9 per ADS. The cash dividend will be paid on May 8 to shareholders of record as of April 17, 2020. We have been paying the dividend since 2011, and are very pleased that we were able to continue this in this year. We are proud that our operating excellence and financial strength are recognized in our industry. For the 15th straight year, we were ranked in the top 100 Chinese real estate developers. This is important because it reinforces our industry status to potential customers, investors, and partners. Equally important is our being named as top 5 innovative Chinese real estate developers. Integrating technology to improve our property and services key differentiator that we expect to drive growth. So we are pleased that the industry recognize our success in this goal. With that, please allow me to turn the call over to our CFO, Chen. Brian, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Zhang, and good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the call today. I'm excited to be on this call. I have been on a business trip to our New York office since early February. Being in New York has given me the opportunity to speak with many of our shareholders, as well as analysts and other potential new investors. I want to thank our shareholders for your support, your interest in our company, and your constructive feedback and suggestions. Since we went public in 2007, we have been developing a holistic real estate ecosystem positioned to capitalize on industry trends. We are proud of the recognition we receive for our success and are excited about our future. As Mr. Zhang just mentioned, we finished 2019 with a solid result. This is not easy. Given our optimistic outlook, you should not be surprised that our level of development is still high and growing. At year-end, we actually had 1.9 million square meters of active projects and another 2.6 million square meters of projects in planning. We are filling the pipeline with this project that will fuel our growth in 2020 and beyond. The start of 2020 was challenging, as all of you know. Our industry was already grappling with a slowing economic and the regulatory efforts. And then, of course, the virus hit. The Chinese government did an outstanding job in quickly bringing it under tight control, saving countless lives in China. We applaud and fully support that effort. Of course, that means we need to manage through a 6 to 8 lockdown across our markets in China, like any of our peer developer in China. To fully support this viral effort, we closed all our sales office and construction sites for the last 1.5 months. We acted quickly and switched to virtual work, including promoting online sales. Nevertheless, Q1 of 2020 results will be impacted to some extent by this national quarantine. But for us, Q1 is typical our slow season. The budget of Q1 only comprises of like 6 to 8% of the over the year budget. So at this moment, although we are expecting a relative modest impact from a whole year's point of view, net income in this year should be similar to 2019. Recent sales trends in China support our optimism. Even as the pandemic spreads globally, China actually appears now to have contained the spread. The new identified patients within China fell to double digits for this 1.4 billion population country. And we see business are reopening and consumer confidence and spending are gradually recovering. We see our sales rate recovering. However, as the virus now spreads globally, sales in US and UK are being impacted to a lesser scale, since their business comprises of only a small percentage on our overall budget. As we look forward, we remain confident and optimistic. We enter this challenging period with a strong balance sheet and solid cash position. This enables us to weather the storm like we deal with in the last 20 and 30 years. We will exit this period with equal financial strength and even stronger business operation. Our property development business is positioned to capitalize on the most compelling change. We are augmenting our core development business with other auxiliary business, such as the property management service. We are very excited about the success we can achieve in 2020 and beyond. Now, let me go through the financial results. We are a long cycle business with projects developed over years. So we measure our own progress on an annual basis. I will review our performance for the full year of 2019, and then later we'll touch on the Q4. Revenue of 2019 is $2.5 billion. It's grown by almost 12% compared to the year before. Contract sales are down a mid-single digit. But the GFA sales actually were up 7%. As Mr. Zhang mentioned earlier, the government took action to reduce speculation in the real estate, softly impact the pricing in China. We actually applaud these actions since they will set up the industry for healthy and sustainable growth. We believe that the growth of floor area, the GFA growth, actually demonstrates that the underlying demand remains solid. We continue to attract customers based on the quality of our properties, caring property management, and the innovative use of the technology. Gross margin for the year was 22.6%, about 5% points lower than last year. It may look down, but the decline actually was due to one of conservative adjustment due to the lower forecast of the future revenue of 3 projects and the upward adjustment of full cost of 2 projects. Xinyuan taking a very conservative approach at the profitability and the revenue on our project on a full cycle basis. We continue to do this for years, but with the external environment challenging, we taking an even more conservative approach this quarter, which resulted in the one-off adjustment. Net impact of this adjustment is about $62 million. You adjust this, you factor out this one-off adjustment, our gross margin is actually about 25%, which is comparable with the last 3 years average gross margin, and in fact, our solid foundation. As always, we closely are managing the expense with SG&A of $260 million. We actually reduced our SG&A as a percentage of the revenue down 80 basis points to 10.1%. We did cut down to 2020. We remain especially vigilant on the expense control. As a matter of fact, just 2 weeks ago, we made another cut on our SG&A in our 2020 budget to remain efficient operating to deal with the challenges. In the last month, I see a lot of concern and question about our higher tax rate, which kind of pressure our net income low. Our net income of the 83 million this year, which was down like 21%, are primarily due to the tax rate pretty high this year again. To explain that, out of this overall income tax, compared to the peer, is got some unique components for operating in China. Out of this overall income tax, about 45% actually driven by some a tax rate called land appreciation tax, which is part of the cost of doing real estate business in China. Only 55% are calculated actually based on the net income before tax. For the pure corporate income tax, the rate is the effective tax rate was well under control at about 26% within China. It looks higher because we built up an dividend withhold tax provision for because our main revenue was earned in China. As a conservative arrangement, we set up a provision year-over-year of 10% of dividend withholding tax on top of our corporate income tax. There's no cash impact for this dividend withholding tax allowance build up. Of course, another component driving up our corporate income tax on consolidated basis is because we have some overseas expense that cannot transfer back to China and on the project to appreciate the tax deduction impact. Now let me quickly touch on the fourth quarter. Revenue was down due to lower contract sales, due to about 4 to 5 projects that did not launch the pre-sales for our original schedule. The sales has been postponed and moved into 2020. We expect that these sales can pick up in Q2 to Q3 in 2020. Gross margin decreased versus last year, again, due to that Q4 one-off conservative adjustment on the forecast of our project. If you factor out this adjustment, our gross margin for the quarter stay at about 23%. As mentioned earlier, the year is 25. They are pretty healthy number compared to the prior year and compared to the peer company in China. Now let's turn to the balance sheet. A hallmark of Xinyuan is our financial strength. Our strong balance sheet instills confidence for our customer, lender, suppliers, and shareholder. At year-end, our cash was over $1.1 billion. This was a significant increase during the course of the year. We generate cash both from operating and the financing. For the whole year, we maintain a very positive cash inflow from the operating activity and actually use majority of that net inflow to pay off our outstanding debt. So on the liability side, debt of a little over $3 billion was fairly balanced between long-term of about $1.7 billion and a current debt of about $1.5 billion. For this current portion of the $1.5 billion, 25% of them are due in Q1. As at this point, we had already settled those current debt in Q1, use the cash at our hand. Including in March, you saw that we redeemed $200 million coming due offshore senior notes. It's on schedule and in full. We took great pride in meeting all of our financial obligations when they come due. Underlying our confidence is how real estate works in China. Real estate property are often pre-sold with cash you can collect within 3 months from pre-sales. We have over 3.3 billion of the property under development and 500 million projects complete available for sales. That provide a huge highlight for sales and cash collection. We have used the cash in part to reward our shareholders. As announced by Chairman Mr. Zhang earlier, we continue to pay a quarterly dividend. We paid this quarterly dividend since 2011. For this quarter, we continue to pay a cash dividend of 10 cents ADS, which means that our overall profit attributed to shareholders, the payout ratio is about 37%, which is a very healthy percentage. It's consistently and comparable with the other Chinese peer real estate developer. Furthermore, as of Q4 2019, the company has cumulatively repurchased around 1.3 million ADS. As at this point, we had already buy back about 14.5% on our ADS. We'll continue to do so based on the solid cash position and the confidence of the underlying ground, the essential ground of the company's operation. Additionally, I just mentioned the listing of our property management company in Hong Kong that generate cash for us, but more importantly, enable us to highlight the quality of their business. We host the similar analyst call earlier this week. As of March 31st, the company had a market cap of 865 million Hong Kong dollars or 112 million US dollar. The business goes well, and I would recommend you to look for the company trading code of 1895 and look at and review the growth of their and the growth financial performance. As you know, we are a global company with aspiration to accelerate development outside our core market in China. We also made great progress in this effort in 2019. In U.S., up to this day, we sold 82% of the units in the Houston project in Brooklyn. In Huntington Garden project, we increased the number of units we can sell from 82 to 92, and leave a majority part of the retail space to target for a 20 years timeline. We are now marketing the project in China and both in China to the Chinese buyer and in U.S. to the local buyer. At the RKO project in Blossom Queen, we received approval for our landmark preservation plan, a key milestone for a project with important historical value. We have completed semantic redesign work and plan to start the construction by the end of 2020 or early next year. In UK, the Maxton project is on track with construction on plan and budget. We intended to complete work this year. We had sold about half of the unit in Madison at this point. Looking forward, I start to characterize the challenge in this space as we started the year. The first quarter will be impacted to some extent, but because it comprises of only about 7% of our full year budget, we think we can recover very likely 2 to 3% shortfall in the quarters to come. At this point, assuming the virus is under control, and the world, at least in China, within Chinese border, slowly return to normal. We anticipate the full year 2020 contract sales on about 20 to 22 billion RMB. Consolidated net income will be around $80 million, which is similar to current year. With that, let's open the call for questions. Mr. Zhang and I are available, along with our President, Mr. Li, and VP Finance, Zhang. Operator, please proceed.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question, please signal by pressing star 1 on your telephone keypad. If you are using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. You may ask up to 3 questions at one time. If you have additional questions, please press star 1 to rejoin the queue. Again, it is star 1 if you would like to ask a question, and we will pause for just a moment to allow everyone an opportunity to signal for questions. Again, it is star 1 if you would like to ask a question. And we will take our first question from George Guo, who is a private investor.
Hi. The first question is, how much impact from the listing cost in Hong Kong to this quarter?
The listing cost, there are 2 components to it. One component is coming from the share-based compensation we do for this listing process, and the number is about, give me a sec. The impact is about $1.7 million stock-based amortization, compensation. And the other component, obviously, is about the listing cost. The listing cost is about $3 million.
Okay, thank you. Second question is, I noticed a large increase in cash position. How did you achieve that?
For that increase of the position, on one hand, is coming from the positive cash flow we create in the Q4. To come to the exact amount, let me pull out the information. In Q4, our cash, we had about $467 million coming in, the positive cash coming in for the quarter. That is the main reason. And at the same time, some of the gross inflow also coming from the financing activity. To meet the debt due in the quarter, we are successfully to raise about 4.4 billion Chinese yuan of the debt. Even though the net cash provided by the financing is actually a negative of the $53 million, but the financing helped. Overall, the cash increase in fourth quarter is $414 million.
Okay. Last question for me is, can you clarify how you impact the gross margin? You said that you took some charge. Can you explain that again?
Sure. In this quarter, we use an even more conservative approach to look at all of our project profitability and the overall cost. Bear in mind that we use the POC method to recognize our revenue and cost. So the period recognition is depending on our estimate for the overall project's profit, revenue and the cost. For this quarter, we look at maybe three of the projects that we significantly reduced their sales estimate. At the same time, we have two projects that we increased the estimate of the overall target cost. Because this is a very conservative approach, the gross margin was reduced or adjusted by $62 million. So with this one-off impact, the year-to-date gross margin was reduced by 25% on the underlying operation to about 23%. And quarter-to-date, gross margin ratio was reduced by 22 to 23% in the underlying operation to around 15% on the book.
Okay, thank you very much.
Going onward, we will continue to use a very conservative approach to do this. But I expect that the impact won't be as big as this one, because this adjustment reflects the historical accumulated adjustment for the last 2 to 3 years.
Okay, thank you. Very good cash management. Thank you.
As a reminder, it is star one if you would like to ask a question. And we will take our next question from Franklin Morton, who is a private investor.
Good morning and congratulations on a good year. I have just a couple of questions. Can you give us, maybe put on your website, how people can access the valuation, the price of your Hong Kong listed property management business, just so people can monitor that? And what is the value of that? You own a percentage of that company. What is the value to you of that listing, the value of your shares?
Okay. First of all, for that property service company, it appreciates a pretty good growth, and the investors from the Hong Kong investment community give it a pretty good recognition of the value. For that business line, it's always part of our business, but it only comprises of about 2 to 3% of our overall sales within our consolidated financial statement. For that, 3 to 5% though, its revenue grows by for the year for the 2019, the revenue grows by 36%, and the margin grows by 51%, and the gross margin as high as 38%. The net profit grows by about 8%. Will that number showing in Xinyuan as part of the number listed in New York Stock Exchange? The P/E ratio will be about less than 2 times. Currently at about 1.2 times. I split it out and listed in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Currently appreciate a P/E ratio of about 10%. Compared to our peer company in Hong Kong, a lot of them property service companies list by about 25 to even 50%. So for one thing, we believe that bringing it on Hong Kong will have the value unlocked there, and there will be more liquidity and more transaction. As a shareholder, you won't be able to directly go to the Hong Kong to appreciate this appreciation directly, but you do that indirectly through Xinyuan's holding of 60% of that company. The other thing is that bringing that subsidiary in Hong Kong will help this subsidiary grow faster and better, because you won't not only it will bring in refinancing and additional fundraise opportunity, but also with that leased separately in Hong Kong, it will give it a more influence in the and to the stakeholder and the community, and it will help this business grow more healthy and managing better. I hope I answer your question that way.
Okay. One other question. You talked in the last two conference calls about reducing your debt and making your balance sheet stronger. Where would you like your debt to be, and how long do you think it'll take to get there?
Okay.
You want to still keep reducing it, or are you already where you want to be?
Xinyuan are serious about control or bringing our debt ratio to a healthier position. As mentioned in the last quarter, we commit to do that. By the end of the year, let me pull out the exact number in terms of the debt. Our overall debt actually reduced. The overall debt reduced from about $3.2 billion down to like this debt to about 3.5, and the liability ratio, the overall debt ratio, decreased from 91% to 89%. Sorry, it's the opposite way. The total debt reduced from 3.5 billion at the end of last year to 3.2 billion by the end of this year. The overall debt ratio decreased from 91% to 89%, and the net gearing ratio decreased from 304% at the last year end to 266%. For 2020, we expect that the overall debt will going to reduce by another 16% also. So the overall debt ratio will be continue to reduce by another 2 to 3% to around 86, 87. Net gearing ratio will be further reduced to be around 250%. That is not enough and not good enough. Our 2 to 3 years ago, or I would say 18 to 20 months ago, is to bring our overall debt to around 55% and the net gearing ratio to around 160. That's a long way to go, but we are on the right track. We are moving to the direction.
So it sounds like you've made a lot of progress, but you still want to go a lot further, which I think makes the story more attractive. I would applaud you for continuing to improve the balance sheet. I think that's a wise move.
Thank you.
As a reminder, it is star 1 if you would like to ask a question. And we will take our next question from Alex Mack, who is a private investor.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hi, Matt. We can hear you.
Okay. I'm a shareholder, a long-time shareholder. The reason I want to call is I am obviously, like many shareholders, disappointed with the share price, which is almost like all-time low. And the market cap for the company right now is about only $200 million or $230 million. So, as a shareholder, I'm just wondering what the company is doing to improve the confidence of the investment community. I know that you have bought some shares back, but personally, as a shareholder, I have read about the comments that I see in the websites and about the company. There is a big concern with the level of debt the company has. In particular, those debts are at high interest rate in the neighborhood of 9 to 10% almost. So because of those high debts and high interest, I think the investors are very, very worried that the company may not be able to manage it and to the point of may not be able to survive. And for that reason, I think a lot of investors are shying away from owning the shares of the company, even though the current price is so much lower than the book value of the company, which is in the neighborhood of about $10 a share. But it's only now trading at $2 a share. So, I don't know the inside detail of the company, but just one of my view is that I know the company pays a very good dividend, about 40 cents US cents per year, 10 cents per quarter. Why wouldn't the company not say reduce the amount of dividend or even remove it and use the funds from the payment of dividend, which roughly per year is about $25 million, to buy back the company's shares? If you use that to do that for 5 years, you'll completely buy back 100% of the shares. As you know, in the share market, the price of the share is dependent upon the supply and demand of the shares. If there's more buyback by the company, I'm sure the price of the share will shoot back up. Instead of using the money to pay the dividend, I think more money should be saved from the dividends payment and use it to buy back the shares, or to use some of it to pay down the debt. So I know the company has been growing very well, but all this growth at the expense of high debt and high leverage, it really is not serving the interests of the shareholders. And I do know that the chairman of the company owns a significant chunk or percentage of the shares. But still, a lot of the shareholders out there, like myself, I've been owning the company for the last almost 10 years. The share price has been going down. It's very disappointing. So, I'm just, my question is the company doing something to help to reduce the debt? Or, number one. Number two, maybe reduce the payment of the size of the dividends and use the money and save the money to buy back more shares. Okay. Can I get some response back from the company, please?
Okay. First of all, Alex, appreciate your long-term confidence in the company and holding the share. We share the same disappointment on the share price performance. There's a few things that we are working on. One thing is that we are endeavor to improve the communication to the outstanding shareholder as well as the potential investor. As you're talking about, on one story is that the share price should be driven by the true value and the growth potential for the company. That's what Xinyuan like focus almost 100% focus on in the past 10 years. But on the other side, as you're talking about the supply and demand, we need to create the confidence, have information flow more clearly and more transparently, and use a holistic approach to create the understanding and the confidence on the company. So starting from early this year, we reviewed the PR strategy, the investor relations strategy. That's recently switched to a new PR firm, Blueshirt. We are in the last 2 months, we have revisited all we could. We had an intense conversation with the outstanding shareholder and the potential one. So the first thing we are doing is to improve the communication and investor relationship and address the misunderstanding and somewhat like an even totally baseless speculator or guess about the company's cash position and going concern. That is one thing we need to address. Second thing, as you're talking about, we have to reduce the debt and bring it back to a healthier level. Let's make it clear, and real estate industry in China is a capital-intensive industry, and the profitability and quick turnover can sustain a high level of the pretty high cost of the borrowing. Number one, you know that debt is not necessarily a bad thing. If only you can make it the settlement, if only you can generate more revenue higher than cost of the borrowing. So we are not going to reduce things like 80 or 90% of that to a ground and zero level, but we will work gradually bring it to a more healthy percentage as an answer to the previous investor. In terms of the dividend payout policy, we are simply looking at the policy for the last 3 years and compared to the other peer companies. For Q4, we believe that the payout ratio is reasonable. We have sufficient funds to make for that $6.5 million dividend payout. For 2020, we will review the external environment and and it's at the discretion of the board to tell what is the best to the shareholders of the company. Last but not least, I would like to emphasize that talking about the debt, talking about the concern, don't forget that we had about 4.5 million square meters of the land bank. On the board, it's showed by book value, but in fair market price or sellable value, we have 67.5 billion Chinese yuan of the land bank. And all these land are located, well located in the tier 1 and tier 2 cities. And the liquidity is pretty well. If there is a need, we can convert this land into cash to make the needs of the debt settlement. But at this point, believe that through our budget, we should have a positive operating cash flow and a healthy, a reasonable financing budget target to make the whole year the debt obligation met.
Hello, Mr. Brand. The chairman would like to make comments on the share repurchase. For the fourth quarter of 2019, we actually repurchased back around 1.3 million ADS. And the board already approved a certain amount of ADS we could buy back from the market. So that the chairman would like to add on.
Thank you, Chairman. So, do we answer you, Alex?
I'm glad you addressed the issue I've raised. But I still feel that the company's debt is the main concern the investors are staying away from the company, because especially those debts are very high interest rates. It's about 9% or 10% or 8%. That's very high. Yeah. I know you say that you can make more money as long as the revenue is higher than your cost of interest, but still the investors are very worried about the level of the debt. That's why they're staying away. And the other point that we just talked about is the amount of dividend. I think based on what I see in the stock market, the level of dividend, which is about 40 cents a year, is very good dividend. It gives you a yield of almost 20% right now based on the share price of $2 a share. It's not helping the share price. So, in my view, instead of paying 10 cents per quarter, maybe reduce it to 5 cents. Use the money saved and go and buy back the shares. Because annually, at 40 cents a year, that amounts to, based on the outstanding shares of about 60 million shares, or 50 something million shares, that will cost the company about $25 million a year. If you use half of that money, let's say you reduce the dividend from 10 cents per quarter to 5 cents a quarter, or annually 40 cents to 20 cents, you use the extra funds saved and go to the market and buy the shares, I think it'd be more helpful. Wouldn't you agree? I'm just wondering. Because as you can see, in the last 5 years, the company has been paying this good dividend, but it is not helping the shares price. Because for a growth company, you don't need a lot of dividends to attract the investors. Just pay some dividend, reduce it from 40 cents to 20 cents, that's just a suggestion. And use the extra funds saved, which is about $12 to $15 million, to go back to the market to buy the shares. Because your company shares are not at a high volume, on average about 100,000 shares a day. You can buy back quite a few months of share with that money saved. In some cases, they might even reduce the dividend from, say, 40 cents to 20 cents a year. Then you have more money to go back to the market to buy the share. So I hope the company will think about my suggestion. Reduce the dividend in the future and use the money saved to go to the market to buy back the shares. That's one thing. And the second thing is, like I said, it's good to grow the company very well and all that, but if you have your debt at too high a level, investor will find it too risky to invest in the company.
And thank you, Alex. I think we are almost run out of time, but we really appreciate that this solid input. We will take this into consideration in the next round of the dividend policy review. Just to let you know that we really appreciate all shareholders' candid and straightforward input. Anything can help the long-term value of the company. We will seriously considering that. Doing dividend payout in the last year according to this one is not a stop loss to continue to buy back our share as well as buy back our outstanding debt. We are actually continue working on that on a week-by-week basis. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, please take that into account for your future options and actions, especially the debt level. High interest rate was 10%. At the time when the prime interest rate in the U.S. is about 2%.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Okay.
And we will move on to our next question. As a reminder, it is star one to ask a question, and we will take a question from Peter Chen, who is a private investor.
Hello. Yeah, congratulations for the good performance, especially in the continue the dividend policy. That is really, the big move to keep the confidence from the investor. I have been the company's stockholder for over 10 years. And from beginning to now, I 100% trust Chairman Zhang and all other management the performance. But and I do agree, and the previous Alex said you need to reduce the debt. Especially the debt like 9% or 10%. I'm very glad you already reduced a big amount and last month. With that, I agree with Alex, but I do not agree Alex about reduce the dividend, because the dividend is the kind of the confidence and the confidence and also investors have about the company's future. But I do agree, and Alex, companies should spend more money on share purchase, and especially in the current virus period, all the market is down, and the price is dropped so fast low, it is ridiculous. But this is good in the difficult time, and sometimes the companies buy cheap, and for this special period, you need just bravely to buy more shares, double or triple the amount, the money spent to buy back for the special period. So that is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate your comment. As mentioned earlier, we currently still at a comfortable position to do both the dividend payout and buy back our shares. The total amount of the share we can buy back, just a cap according to the volume. But we are working on that. We pretty much kept the volume, and we are trying to looking for the other alternatives to improve and bring more confidence back to the outstanding shareholder and the potential one. Thank you for your calling in.
Thank you. Seeing no more
questions
here.
Chairman would like to comment on that question. Hello, Chairman would like to comment on that question, please.
这个中国的地产市场非常大，这个过去10年吧，这些公司成长都非常快，前100强公司成长非常快，都需要我们在这个高杠杆、高成长，以及在合适的利润和规模中寻求一个平衡。
Okay, Chairman commented, China has a very large real estate market overall with high speed increase over the past couple of years. And we need to leverage the high debt as well as the increase of the company's growth to profit as well.
这个未来我们3到5年，我们也在调整负债率，降低负债率，适当规模，和较好的利润，以及同时分红回报股东之间找到合适的一个新的调整点。
For the next 3 to 5 years, we like to keep a good balance between a good shareholders return as well as a good increase for the company's revenue and profit.
我们也在过去也在持续回购股票和回购这个债券。
We've been continuously repurchasing the company's share as well as the debt.
下面我们还会继续这个政策。
We'll be continuing doing so. Okay, that's Chairman's comments on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And seeing no more questions in the queue, let me turn the call back to Brian for closing remarks.
Thank you, operator, and thank you all for participating on today's call, and thank you for your support. We are pleased with your interest and look forward to reporting to you again next quarter on our progress. Thank you, operator.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you.
This concludes today's call, and we thank you for your participation. You may now disconnect.